What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode, Shift Change Podcast. It's Saturday morning. It's raining, which is really kind of effed my day. Not because of the rain, but because it's what it's done to our schedule. Everybody was supposed to be gone this morning, playing baseball, softball, and now everybody's home except for one. So I've been shunned to the garage gym studio where I'm out here getting this done so you have something to listen to on your Monday morning commute. But here we are. Let's get to business. First off, I want to apologize to our dispatchers. I got called out the other day that I missed Dispatchers Week, and they're not wrong. I did. Totally glossed. I don't even know when it was, which is terrible, but isn't that kind of our mindset sometimes in our culture is the people that really make our jobs work are like they're just kind of forgotten about, and that's my fault. So I apologize. So happy Dispatchers Week belated. You can't imagine their jobs at any level, a municipal dispatcher or a private aircraft dispatcher. Their jobs are hard. If you can imagine for our non-public safety people, somebody calling you screaming that they just found their kid at the bottom of the pool, and now you have to sort that shit out while we're getting the right people to that place and then asking the right questions to a frantic parent or bystander or somebody and then it's never fast enough because in an emergency, time seems to stand still. So when I was in suburban EMS, I worked at the training center where they train dispatchers, and I could overhear previous recorded phone calls of people calling 911, and it was basically a way to kind of not really weed out, but find out who had the intestinal fortitude to stick through a call like that. And it was always, I don't remember the call really. I think somebody lit themselves on fire, basically as a suicide attempt or something, and somebody's spouse or some family member found them basically burning. And I may have that wrong, but it was in that realm, or a car fire with somebody trapped or something, and it was god awful. Like I couldn't stomach it, let alone. And I was in another room, it just happened over here, and I couldn't stomach it. So if you think your job's easy, you're wrong. And for whatever reason, we're quick to judge them, especially on my end of it, because they're responsible for getting me the information that I need to go do my job. And it's a big game of telephone, so they're basically limited to the information that they get from the caller. So if you remember that game where you had a big long line of people and you started with one phrase at the beginning, and by the end of it, it wasn't even close to what the original was. That's probably similar to their job. I don't know. But we're quick to judge them, and we're real slow to praise them. So, my bad. So there's your apology. We'll get better. Future guest, I just locked up Chris Roberts, who was incident command of the Greenfield tornado. If you guys remember that, you can't not remember it. It was just a few weeks ago. So we're going to talk about the response and the protocol for severe weather and tornadoes in public safety, and casualties and injuries in their hospital basically shut down and how they managed all that. So that'll be a good one. This is going to air on Monday, so Father's Day just happened. So happy Father's Day to all you dads. Especially a happy Father's Day to all you dads in public safety. Like, it's not easy. It's not easy being a dad, period, but trying to be a dad in public safety is also equally as hard. There's my dog barking at probably nothing, but whatever. If you're going to ask me what I did, probably my prediction for tomorrow is I'll probably get up and make breakfast for everybody, and then we'll go out to eat at Lindsay's favorite restaurant. That's usually how it goes. And if you ask me what I want for Father's Day, I just want somebody to empty the dishwasher, man, other than me. Just want my kids to pick their shit up. I ain't looking to take the day off. because I don't believe there is any days off in parenting. Even Father's Day, it's not a gift to me to be like, well, I'm going to do whatever I want without you kids. Like, that's not, I don't think the point. But that's my opinion. I'm not shaming anybody that wants to take the fucking day off and go do some shit. But I don't believe that there's any days off in parenting. I didn't earn it. I'm doing it. It's my job. So the 5 people challenge last week. I issued a challenge for us, mostly men, but ladies too. For anybody that is wondering how people are doing, and for whatever reason we get kind of weird about that. The 5 people challenge. Just send out 5 random texts to random people, mostly people that you haven't talked to in a long time. Is the point of this, is to reconnect. Simple, hey, just reaching out, hope things are well. My 5, I picked out 5 men, all dads of multiple children, and I got 5 hits back, and it was great to reconnect with people. And I know that it's easy to say, there's always these empty promises of, hey, we should really get together soon. And I know that life is busy. I have a friend of mine, we were going to have lunch before the holidays 8 years ago, or 10 years ago by now, right? And it's never happened. So I know we're full of empty promises and say we really, really should get together and we really, really should do this, but just really, really do it. Like, don't talk about it. Like, really, really do it. Like, invite somebody over to your house for a workout, or without saying we should really get together for a workout sometime, or you should really come over to that. Say, okay, when? Like, let's do that and let's make that happen. And for whatever reason, we're real good about being, we should do that, and then we never do it. So the 5 dudes, I got all 5 texts back. Everybody's doing well, thank God, or at least that's the impression they gave me. My favorite response was, hey, mediocre, man, but striving for better every day. And I thought, well, couldn't be a more honest response to that. He could have gave me some bullshit about, yeah, man, everything's fine. But he's a dad of 4 kids too. Busy as shit. They're all 16 and younger or whatever. So haven't talked to some of these guys in a very, very, very long time. One response I got was like, listen, I've been like, we were just talking about you the other day, man, and I really wanted to reach out over the years, and I just, for whatever reason, just haven't. And why don't we? And I don't know. Like, I'm the same way. I should really send my friend a text and be like, how you doing? But I don't want to bother him, or what? Like, why don't we just send the text, make the phone call, do the things? I don't understand it, and I'm guilty of it too. What stops us from reaching out? Fear of rejection, like, hey man, new phone, who this? I don't know. Like, what are we? Some 16-year-old boys asking girls out? Like, we already think we know what the answer is, so we're just not going to bother. I don't know. I think we ought to do better. Maybe we're scared that somebody isn't doing well, and we're going to open Pandora's box, and we're going to be like, shit, I didn't see that coming, so now I'm basically invested in this. I asked somebody how they're doing, and it turns out they're doing real shitty. Well, I don't have an answer to that, but either way, like, we still need to connect with people. And if you get that response that's back that says, listen, I've kind of stumbled a little bit, and be like, all right, what can I do to help? Like, is there anything I can offer you? And just being that person, I think, is just as important. So that's what I got out of mine. Like, I think it was great. Let's talk about Dustin's story. Holy shit, if you've listened to that one, which by the analytics, not many, and that kind of pains me a little bit, but I get it. Like, we're all busy. Maybe the summertime we're kind of redirecting our energy from podcast listening to sitting at softball, baseball games, which totally get. It's my life too. And as a side note, well, I've seen so much softball in the last 20 years that I'm basically, it's ruined baseball. Like, I just can't watch baseball anymore. It's just so effing slow. So Dustin confided in me that after the fact, when we had this 2-hour conversation about mental health and his response to the stimulus of being a dad and a breadwinner and a problem solver and a first responder, that he'd never told anybody this. So The only two people prior to that episode that knew anything about his deliberation that night on top of the Saylorville Dam was his wife, him, and his therapist. So kudos to that guy for getting that out, and probably what a relief it was to just tell a story like always. Like, I think we're scared that we're the only ones that ever go through things, and we're not. We're all real similar. I think we just don't give enough credit for being similar, because I think that there's a lot of media out there that tries to get us to be different, and I think they do it on purpose. But we're really all not that different. Some of us are. Some of us are way on the other side, and but I think the majority of us are pretty comparable to each other as far as life events, at least around where I live anyway. Now, if you listened real close at the end of our conversation, he basically challenged me and used my words against me, and those words were this: "But I like to do hard things, but my perception of or what was hard was different." So, meaning that I was like, well, I like to do hard things, so I like to walk around with weight on my shoulders that nobody sees, and I like to handle my shit. I like to do those things. I like to keep it inside. I like to bottle it up. I like to compartmentalize. I like to do the things like I like to show the outside world that I am made of granite, and that you can't faze me. You can't touch me. I'm pretty resilient, and I'm pretty tough. And that it's kind of like gutting out a workout. It was like, I'm going to show you that I can finish this, and that I can do this, and that you won't break me, and that my job won't break me. So that to me was the hard thing. And he used it. He's like, yeah, but isn't admitting you need help and going and asking somebody for help harder, basically? And I was like, well, shit, man. Yeah. Like, that is the hard thing. Like, and I was purposely avoiding, for a guy who claims I like to do hard things, I was not doing, or I have not tried to do the hard thing, which was reach out and try to find somebody to help me manage whatever it was that I was going through. And I was like, shit, that just kind of hit me. So I was basically doing the easy thing, which was just keeping it in, whatever it is. Like, it is not specific to anything. It's just when you reflect back on the years and say, man, I there's times in life that I wasn't at my best. And I don't know that you can be at your best every day, but I think that the effort should be there to be at your best every day. And there were certainly times where I was not. And that is not me being self-deprecating. Like, I can prove that. Like, if you bring my wife in here and we'll talk about some days that I was not at my best, and rightfully so. And admittedly, like, I'm not claiming to be something I'm not, but the easy thing was for me to say, well, it's a one-off day. We'll have to deal with it. But the harder thing was to be like, well, maybe I should go ask somebody. Which brings me into today's basically episode is, I don't think things are as hard as we make them. And I think that we perpetuate things in our head that stops us from doing stuff that probably will have a good outcome, but we don't think they will. And I don't really know how to articulate this point other than that. Like, the title of this episode is "Keep It Simple, Stupid." Like, life is hard. Don't get me wrong. Life is difficult, and but we make it harder. And I think that sometimes, like, answers and solutions and things are right in front of us, but we don't think that they can be that simple. Like, there's no way that. So we all think that our issue or our scenario or our situation is special. Like, we're not. I'm different because of this, even though there's a whole population of people that are. And so we have to have a reason why we can't solve our own problem. Meaning, like, so I have a unique situation. So XYZ, you can do it because you have a different situation. So it's easy for you. But me, no, I'm special and it's harder for me. And I see it a lot And I think we're conditioned to say it. Like, if you look at all the fitness, let's look at the fitness space. Can't lose weight over 40, bam. So they automatically triggered you to think that you had some special condition that made it hard for you to lose weight. And that condition is you're over 40. And they'll even level up and they'll say, are you a man over 40 having trouble losing weight? And you're like, well, shit, I got 2 strikes against me already. I'm a man and I'm over 40. So yeah, that's why I can't lose weight. I'm a man over 40. Well, okay, so is 100,000 other people that are probably losing weight. Like, you're not special because you're over 40 and you're a man, but we perpetuate that in our head. And then so we click on whatever, try this new XYZ diet, fitness protocol, whatever, strength training thing, and we're like, and so man, you're hooked, and so they got you, like you're in. Like the good example I use is the man stack, right? Like, here's why you can't lose weight over 40, man. You're not on this man stack, so come get this supplement for $19.99 a month or whatever, and then bam, unlock a new level. No, that's not how it works. Like, the solution is. The difficult problem is you're gaining weight or you can't lose weight, but the easy solution is stop eating so goddamn much. But we can't think that it's that simple. Nah, man, it's my situation's different. Like my thyroid, and I've got the type 2 diabetes, and it's genetic. My dad. The problem is hard. The solution is simple. Okay, but we can't possibly think it's that easy. Why? Because there's no money in eating. Like, just stop eating. There's no money. But the media tells you that your situation is special, and so if you do it my way, I'll get you to the promised land. So we automatically discredit the easy solution, and that's just how we're conditioned to deal with things. Like, we're simple creatures with complicated brains, and I'm not going to begin to even break down how the brain works and how we think about ourselves, and how we revert back to, they always say, like, primitive times. Like, we're built with a certain programming, and then how that programming gets altered through our lives based on our environment and stimulus. I'm not going to talk about that, but I can talk to you about what I know, and that's we just make shit up sometimes. So let's talk about how therapy or counseling may benefit from that. And I'm going to try to use a real world example too. And keep in mind, I've never been to either counseling or therapy, and I regret that, and I'll tell you why later. I think that it can be a useful tool, but sometimes you just need to pay somebody to hear the answers you don't want to hear. And my kids are like that. Like, I can tell them something about their softball swing, but they have no interest in hearing it from their dad. And if I tell their coach, hey, would you mind telling my kid to make these 2 adjustments in the box? And then the next thing you know, you're watching your kid make those 2 adjustments in the box, and you're like, what the F? Like, I just goddamn told you the same thing. But they heard it from somebody else. And so if you're one of those people, like, that's a useful, valuable thing, and I am probably no different, and I'll tell you why. In 2020, when COVID hit, and when the government decided that maybe you shouldn't take all of your kids to a swimming pool in July in 100 goddamn degree heat in an outdoor pool, instead, please keep your kids inside when it's 100 degrees and in the Midwest in the middle of effing July. I needed to solve the problem. So I solved the problem. I installed a pool. And before you say, oh, that must be real nice, well, listen, it almost killed me, and that's a whole nother story. So besides that, long story short, this year when I opened it, I had some problems that I haven't experienced before, or at least if I had experienced them, I was able to solve the problem. And this year I couldn't. And I was literally at my wit's end. Like an anxiety-filled, this can't be, like, it wasn't devastating. It was just annoying. I can't figure it out. And so for the first time, I told my wife, I said, listen, we need to call somebody. I need help. I don't know how to fix this. And the internet made me think that I went down a rabbit hole that I had basically a 1% problem. Like it was very complicated and very complex, and that had to be the issue. And so I called, made an appointment, paid this guy. This guy, nice, super nice guy, comes by, and he's like, "Hey, here's your problem." And I was like, "Nah, what?" No, that's everybody else's problem. My problem is different because I've already done that. Like I've already crossed that problem off my list. He's like, "No, man, like, here's your problem." And I was like, "Nah, listen, I don't think that that's true." Meanwhile, keep in mind, like I paid a professional to come tell me what my problem was, and I was basically trying to convince him that he was wrong. How often do we do that with everybody? Nah, here's why you're wrong, here's why I'm right. And so, long story short, at the end of he basically convinced, I felt so good that I had somebody to bounce the idea off of. And I was like, "Listen, here's what I've tried. This is what I've done." We had a really good interaction. And at the end of the day, at the end of the interaction, and $100 and some later, I no longer have that problem. Okay. Did I know the answer before I paid this guy to come to my house and tell me what the problem was? Sure. But I let the internet convince me that the problem had to have been more sophisticated than what my brain can handle. It was like, "No, man, like you're special. This is for everyday pool people. Like you're a seasoned, this is your 5th season with this pool, and you've managed it your entire self the entire way. There's no chance that this is a basic level problem." It was a basic level problem. Okay? And I don't have the problem anymore. But it cost me some money, and it cost me some time just to listen to somebody tell me what I thought I already knew. So could we apply that same thing to counseling or therapy? Yeah, I think so. It's good. I'm not saying pay somebody to validate you, because if you want to get validated in anything, it doesn't matter what your stance is or opinion on something, you can find a bunch of people on the internet that'll do that for you and make you feel good. I'm saying, like, literally tell you things that are uncomfortable to hear, and tell you that you're overthinking something that is very, very simple. Now, what I didn't do early in my career was apply that same principle to my marriage. And so I knew that there was a problem, right? But I also thought that it was somebody else's problem to deal with. Meaning, well, I'm not the problem. Clearly, I'm not broke. You're broke because you can't figure. And by you, I mean, let's say let's use my wife as an example. Well, listen, I'm not broke. Like, the way you deal with me is broke. So you need to figure out a better way to deal with me, because I'm me. Like, what? I just came off a 24-hour shift. Somebody handed me a dead baby. So I'm going to come home and I'm going to be a dick, not knowing I'm a dick. Keep in mind, like, I don't think that we knew that. And it's your job to figure out how to deal with me. It ain't my problem, it's your problem. And I did that for a long time. If I look back on things, I did it for a long time. And so I made myself think that the problem was difficult. The solution I thought was simple, and I overthought things. In the easy way, I didn't do anything hard. Like, that wasn't hard. Being an asshole is not hard. I come by it very easily, actually. Trying to figure out why I was the asshole and trying to fix why I was an asshole was hard. But I did what was easy, meaning I put the burden on somebody else to fix. And maybe if I had just gone to some sort of counseling or some sort of therapy, I would have gotten the tools that I needed to figure out why I was an asshole. Okay? So, what stops people from going to counseling? Or what stops people from seeking therapy? Well, for me, it was ego. I'm certainly not going to pay somebody to tell me what's wrong with me, or at least I wasn't back then, right? Like, what a shot to my ego. I don't understand. Do you not know who I am, for shit's sakes? That's kind of what I thought of myself back then, especially at the peak of my career when I was working at the best ground ambulance service in the state and the best air medical transport service at the state, and I was working at both of those at one time. Like, that's, in my opinion, I'm not, you take this for what it's worth. Like, I was at the pinnacle, man. Like, I was doing it. I was if you could do it in EMS, man, and if you could work at two places, those were the two places to work, and I was it. That did a number on my ego. I ain't gonna lie. You couldn't touch me. There was not a call I couldn't run. There was not. I thought very highly of myself, and I had some behavior that was probably unbecoming of me, based on my environment and how I perceived myself. Now, had I had some guidance at the time to be like, listen, this is how people flame out of this job. They get to the point where they think they're the smartest in the room, and everybody else is not as smart as you, and they just start running through EMS jobs. And maybe had I gone to counseling or gone to some sort of therapy, I would have gotten the tools that I needed to learn how to deal with myself and how to deal with people around me when I was not at my best. But again, blinded by sleep deprivation and ego and things that were not me, the stress of being a dad and a husband and what that came to be was a maddening time. And if I can look back on it honestly and say that was not the best version of me, even though on the outside I had the best version of me. Like, I was making the most amount of money. I was doing the coolest stuff. But it came with a price. And so, just like maintenance on a car, we go to get our oil changed every 5,000 miles, and if we don't, the engine was going to blow. Well, I wasn't doing any maintenance on me at all. I didn't think. I had some hobbies, but I worked so much that it was hard to... I basically had to hurry up and get those hobbies over with so I could go to my next job. Yeah, I got time to go fishing. Let's go fishing, but we got to be back by a certain time, and we got to hustle, and everything was an emergency. I got to quickly get this workout in because I need to go home and sleep so I can go back. You know what I mean? So the quantity and the quality didn't match up. And so the value in going somewhere and saying, listen, man, here's how you should do it better. Like a treadmill, right? Like, everybody's real fired up at the first of the year to get a treadmill. They buy a treadmill, and then if you're not using the tool, at the third or fourth month, you're hanging clothes off it. If you're not using the tool, it's useless. Every alcoholic I've ever picked up on a ground ambulance service, and you say, hey, man, where do you want to go? And they say, well, take me to this place because the last place didn't do anything for me. Knowing that that's not their job is to fix you. Their job is to give you the tools to fix yourself. And so, they go to these places for these inpatient treatments, and they get sober, and then they get discharged with a list of, here, you got to show up for your counseling. You got to do this. You got to do that. And it takes work. It takes intentional work. And then 3 weeks later, you're picking up again. They're drunk as shit, and we're going to a different place because they blame the institution for not helping them, when in fact the institution gave them the tools to help. And I think that's probably what counseling and therapy does, is maybe they're not going to fix you, but they're going to give you tools in place to try to help you through that. And I'm not promoting any certain therapist or any certain type of therapy. I don't know shit about it, but this is just my perception of what I think it may be like. I regret not going. I regret not learning things about myself that would be useful now. I wish I would have known them then, and I think that with any sort of growth project, I think that's the case, right? Like, I regret the time I missed with my kids and my wife because they were fearful of me and my mood, and I wish I had the tools to kind of fix it. I think that I missed out on a few things, and that's my bad. But I'm not trying to. I'm trying to correct the action to be more present now and to be more mindful of my time now and be more assertive with my time now and saying, listen, I'm going to need a minute or a few minutes because things do get out of control sometimes, and it's easy to let it if you're not trying to pull the reins back in. It's really by my wife's grace, really, that we're still happily together. Like, I certainly had times where I wanted to give up. I was like, fuck this. Like, I can't do, like, I am terrible at marriage. I'm probably not at this point the best example, and it's probably by my wife. I would say it's all by my wife's grace that we're still happily married and very much trying to serve each other the best way that we can during the different seasons of life. So I believe it's a useful tool as long as there's an endpoint, man. Like, you can't go to therapy forever. There has to be a point where it's like, hey, listen, man, you're good. You don't need to come back. I have a tribe trust issues. Right, so trying to find somebody that your insurance is going to cover, or at least cover mostly, and then do these people think you're a cash cow because you have insurance, so you just keep going back week after week after week, saying the same shit, because because your insurance is pumping their business full of money. I don't know, like, it's a cynical way to look at things, but that's where I'm at in life. Like, I just don't trust people, which is probably another reason why we don't seek help professionally. Counseling is, we're like, you're just going to tell me the same shit the internet does, man. Do some yoga and take a walk and, don't drink alcohol and life should be good. And you're going to tell me that every week for 52 weeks. I don't know. I don't think that to be true. I think that there's enough good endorsements of therapists and counselors that's probably not the case. So maybe. Listen, Dustin's example is too common, right? He got right to the ledge. He was looking down. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that feels like. But he wasn't just going to quit on marriage and fatherhood and EMS. He was going to quit on life, and end it. And that, I think, to get to that point, you have to be in a real dark place. And I'm glad he found his way out. And he did it because he swallowed his pride and said, hey, listen, I need some help. I just had a message with him before I recorded this episode, and it was a random thought. But in all the years I've been in EMS and all the refreshers that I've been in, I asked him, I said, because I am wrong a lot, have we ever been to a refresher weekend that had anybody talk about mental well-being? Have we ever got continuing education credit to listen to somebody tell us about how to manage stress and sleep deprivation and marriage and kids and daylight savings time and whatever we can put on the list of shit we got to try to manage in a day? And between the two of us, he being at the highest level at his collegiate institution, and me just being a line paramedic for 20 years, we can't think of one time where we've. That's not to say we haven't gotten some corporate bullshit, like your employer. And so it did make a question, like, who's responsible for that? Is your employer responsible to make sure you have the tools to manage your job? And I think, without digging into corporate law, I think that's somewhat the case. And is it their job to throw out some sort of like bullshit quarterly, hey, don't forget to download this meditation app and make sure you get 10 minutes a day of deep breathing before you come to work bullshit? Because if I have to rely on corporations, or worse, the government, for my mental well-being, I think we're fucked. I think it's on us. I think it's the people that are out there doing the job. I think we need to come up with something to give each other on those refresher weekends or on those continuing education weekends to figure it out. I don't know that we can rely on corporations to do it for us. So next project, let's figure that out. Um, Sometimes at the end of that our conversation, and this is how I'm going to end this conversation. We decided that one of the solutions is real simple. All you got to do is ask somebody how they are and mean it. Could it be that easy? Could it be just as simple as, hey, I noticed you had a tough call the other day. Um, I'm sorry it happened to you. Is there anything I can help? Is there anything I can do? How are you doing? And I don't know that, are you doing okay? Like it kind of already puts the answer in their head. And it's not an open ended question. It's all you got to do is answer, yeah, I'm fine. Or no, I'm not. But make them tell you, how are you doing after that flight, that call, that situation, and make them tell you how they're doing and describe how they're doing it. I think is a better way. Simple, not easy. There's a difference. Uh, there's a lot of difficulty in simplicity sometimes, and I think it's because we overthink it and we think it has to be more difficult than what we think, and so that's the food for thought for this week. Like simple, not easy. It's not easy to ask somebody how they are, and it's not easy to tell somebody how you really are. Like it's really easy to be like, "Hey, man, I'm fine. Thanks for asking." You, it's common small talk, but like Dustin said, let's do the hard things, and the hard things is really trying to ask people how we are, connect with people that we haven't connected with in a long time, make that connection, ask that person. Don't just say, "Hey, let's go to lunch sometime." Hey, man, when can you go to lunch? Schedule it, book it, put it on the books, call somebody. All right, that's all I got for this week. Uh, Work hard, be kind. Bye. Hey guys, thanks again for listening to another episode of the Shift Change Podcast. I need to ask if you would leave a rating. I think that it helps people who are new to the podcast find it quicker. It doesn't do me any good, but it does help other people that are looking for the Shift Change Podcast on Spotify or Apple. It just comes up quicker the more ratings that you give it. I don't, whether you give it a 2 or a 5, it doesn't make a difference. It just helps other people. If you need to get a hold of me, contact me via my email, the show email, which is talkshiftchange@gmail.com. Or you can message me on Instagram at talk.shiftchange. Excuse me, at talk.shiftchange on Instagram. As always, thanks for listening. I could not have imagined um, how well this podcast has been received. So, as always, I appreciate it. Work hard, be kind.